This has to be one of the most satisfying decks in the game right now to pull off in 10.10. Now, we play into a ton of Tall Punish, and we're playing into a ton of locks, but if we can pull this off, we're just laughing. It feels great, and I definitely recommend giving it a try for that reason alone. Now, I have this version with a wild card Artis, and then I have a second version that's more of a try-hard one. I just wanted to try and use this card that hasn't really seen much play since a rework that it had. And I was inspired by Sprout Q on the Pro Ladder, who was playing this in a Warriors deck, and it was really interesting when I played against them. Now, I figured, why don't we put it in something where there's more cultists? So it actually sees a really good place here. We get to play a 4 provision cultist from deck, and then whenever a unit is played, damage it by half its power. So essentially, we have cards that could benefit from that, like the Sigvald. Get it as bleeding, contributes to the boost that we get later. We have the Vildkarl, which would automatically allow it to flip into the Champion of Svalbard. And then we have the Tursic Veterans, which on Berserk 3 would heal themselves. They do damage themselves on deploy by 3. When we cut half its power down, it's going to proc that heal right away. So feels great to have something like this come down and slam for its true value. And then, of course, the target card that we're going to be pulling with the Artis would be the Drummond Berserker. Now, if you look in the 4 provision cultist spot, you have to think about it here, okay? This card damages itself by 4 on deploy. If we factor that in, and then we also factor in the tutor, it doesn't really work, right? Our positioning really matters. I didn't think I needed Hermit as much because we have the priests already. We have tons of stuff going around for damage, so I opted to take this out. You know, there aren't really many good options besides that. Maybe you go with a cultist. I don't think we need it. And then Svalbard Fanatic is nice and everything, but I think that the Berserker feels better played from hand than the Fanatic does. So that was kind of my reasoning behind doing it that way. And what's nice about the Artist play is that we could tuck this in behind a defender. A lot of times when you're playing Self-Wound, you see stacking on melee. Why don't we stack on range this time? Play around Artists and get tons of value, because if the opponent's going with a big point slam deck, we're going to be getting lots of good damage on those units. So kind of a cool idea there. Former thinning options would have maybe been Royal Decree, where you're not really getting a unit to play or anything like that. It doesn't really have that tempo. And then, of course, Cirrus Fearless, where she thins from deck by herself, but I found that she often came out of deck when we didn't want her to, and then, you know, would be easily removed by the opponent. So I wanted to look at something that at least poses a threat that's, you know, also difficult to remove, but is a tutor that we can use on demand. So interesting. Needless to say, it definitely feels pretty cool having something like this in the deck. What we're trying to do here overall is establish carryover with the Melusine. So Melusine goes typically between 2 units, and it'll damage each unit on either side once at the end of the turn, and then gain the damage dealt into base power for itself. And, you know, if we use the order, we can basically click and put Rain on their side of the playing field for 2 turns while only taking 2 damage. So we're getting an extra 2 points there every time. And if there's a cultist beside it, refresh. So Artis is a cultist. We have, you know, Vildkarl, we have Bride of the Sea, we've got Callus, we've got Sigvald. Essentially, this is like a cultist deck now. Svalbard Priest, I think I said that, but you know what I'm trying to say. There's tons of stuff here for the Melusine to reset the order every single turn, getting tons of rain on the opponent's side of the playing field, and just generating a ton of points all in the meanwhile. We can tuck these plays behind the defender. And then what's nice about the Melusine is we have the ability to bring her back, not once, but twice. So we can resummon with the Sigdriffus Right later on in the game. But you got to be careful because it did get the rework. So now when it's brought back, whether it be through Fukusha or through Sigdriffus Right, Melusine will gain Doomed. So we have a Peller in for that reason. And we got to be careful when we do that. If we're looking to just say, you know what, we got really good value from Melusine in round 1, we can just go for the 2-0. That's obviously an option as well. So, you know, maybe you don't need the Peller in that case, but just in case we have one there, right? So there's that. Nut Callus is great, plays into Melusine, avoids us going too tall at first, but it's really in the deck for the Sigvald. So with this here, damage an ally unit by half its current power, then damage an enemy by the same amount. Berserk 5 at the end of your turn, refresh abilities. So we're looking to give this 2 damage so it sits at 5 power. And then every turn, we can slap the Sigvald. Which is crazy because if you think about it this way, we take Sigvald, we put a couple Mardromes on it from hand, and then we look at getting maybe an additional Mardrome off Bride of the Sea. And then this gets really tall, maybe 20 plus power. And then we can keep hitting it for its 10 every turn because it's half a 20, give or take, right? And then we're just dishing tons and tons of damage on the opponent's side of the playing field. So we're removing all their big point slams, all their big engines that are going to be getting out of control with this combo alone. This is why we don't have heat waves and ignis and stuff like that. So this combined with Artis can play for just a phenomenal amount of removal while we're accumulating carryover points with the Sigvald, because of the order we get to damage a unit by the duration of bleeding on self, which we can then target maybe an Ermion at 2 power or whatever else we have that's super low, and then gain all that bleeding and convert it into boost. So, you know, seeing a 50-point Sigvald finisher is not uncommon if we play our cards right. So that's kind of the idea there. Again, Bride of the Sea just to replay an alchemy of choice, whether we need a Mardrome, whether we need to unlock something, you know, or we go with the Restore play. Restore play is nice for anything gets damaged down really hard, or Melusine once we've used a bunch of Rain Orders. So if Melusine's base power is 30, but Melusine has 2 power, you can imagine we're getting that 28 boost plus an additional 28 boost in this case, because we're healing it, right? So you can imagine the kind of finishers that you could set up with Restore, and imagine getting 50 points for 5 provisions. It's not uncommon. Again, if we play our cards right, we get a little bit lucky, but it's nice to have. Now, again, another tutor. So if you're looking at all the tutors here with Ermion and with the Artis and Oniro, that's 4 thins we have, right? 2, 3, 4. I'm hoping it's enough. That combined with Maxi helps us look at our deck and shuffle it if we need to, so we know what we're top decking, and that'll help us get what we need throughout the game. So there's that, right? Again, Tursics are good beside Melusine, they're good beside Priest, and they're good beside Melusine, or both. Or they're good off Artis, and you know, just nice to have overall. And that's pretty much it, right? We have the Drakkar just for added synergy with the side damage. And moving on to the other deck here, just a little bit different. So I put the Decree back in. I put Houndsnout back in for a little bit of extra damage. Also nice to have the tokens for the Melusine on the board already that we can just sandwich in between if we're on red coin. It helps as like a tempo play, which is what I kind of like about it. Because I don't have the Artis in this version, I do only have 1 veteran because we don't get as much benefit as we would in the other version in this one. And that's really the only changes there. So I got a few games for you guys here in Pro Rank with commentary for reference. You have to see these games. They're the most ridiculous games I played in the last maybe year even, okay? So check it out, and I'll be back tomorrow with another video, guys. If you enjoy the content that you see, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. But for now, let's get into the gameplay. And coming up for the first game here, we got Nilfgaard Double Cross. It's hard to believe in 10.10 people are playing Assimilate, but it's kind of refreshing, if anything, to see at this point. We want to find Melusine early as possible, right? Defender's going to be good too. The problem that I have when I play Double Cross is that they often have Yennefer's Invocation, and giving them the Melusine really hurts. So I do find this is one of the tougher matchups.
I shall not repeat Emir's mistakes.
We just got to go straight with the defender. I'm going to go on range row here because I find if I want to go and play Artis for whatever reason, we have the ability to do so, and it starts to give us more of an impact, right?
And if I insert a needle here, What then?
So they go ahead, take the defender. I guess that's fine. What I want to do here is get down the veteran to the right of Melusine, and then put down the Svalbard priest to the left, and just continue to click rain every turn.
Worry not. We'll tend your ankle biters too.
I was thinking about it here though. We would have to sort of delay a turn otherwise, right? At least this way we're sandwiching it. We keep the defender safe. Artis comes down. We start giving damage on their side, and then we can, you know, do it that way. So a little bit of a thin. I think either way is just fine. That's kind of the synergy I was looking for when I put it together. I don't think we spent too much. I think we got the carryover we need with the Melusine. We just have to be careful when we're looking to bring things back. It depends on how the hand goes if we're going to continue to play into the round. So you want to keep Pellar so we can purify the Melusine, right? Or at least have access to the Pellar. And just taking a look here, I pretty well have everything that I need to win the game, right? Couple exceptions. We have to realize that they did play Calvite, so they do have a really good top deck as well. I opted just to go for it, right? We'll do this properly so we don't have to worry about sequencing. We'll put Fukusha on the right, then we'll put the priest on the left. I want to be able to... you see? That's the problem with this matchup. Okay, so... if we get to round 3, we know they have that huge point slam. So at this point, you got to consider, okay, do we just try and crank it? Right? Because we have like all the moving pieces for the Callus and the Sigvald play. Yeah. That's probably one of the worst things that you could do if you're playing against a lot of illusionists, right? Is going in and playing these veterans, but they're really good against Reavers and a lot of the control stuff going around right now. So they get the defender here. We got to get Callus down as soon as possible, right? And that defender should just carry. And what I like here is because we're pushing, this is something I was sort of taking from the last open, right? Just looking at, okay, well, if I'm playing against double cross and I just play my good cards first and, you know, they try to hold the leader for as long as possible, it's going to get worse and worse until maybe they don't even get it if we play our whole hand, right? That's kind of where I'm coming from with this. So now we want to go and we want to get Sigvald tall so we're dealing more damage, because otherwise it's kind of sad. 2 or 3 damage per turn, right? There we go. And it's just, again, like the thumbnail says, if you don't answer it, you lose, right? That's the issue. We're sitting in a pretty cozy spot because we're doing minimum 7 or so damage per turn.
Ye who wander on the gale, ye we summon, ye we call.
Realistically, we could have went and used Peller at that point, right? It's like all or nothing here, so...
The senses can be fooled easily.
I hate nothing more than a creaky door.
Just remove that altogether before it gets the heal, and then we can look at maybe taking out the Terra Nova next. They really should have taken Ku on Fukusha.
To stick my nose where it doesn't belong.
They would have had the rain as well. Also, I would have argued maybe taking the Mashi Truffle before taking Leader, because they would have been able to use Bride of the Sea there too. Good Peller though.
This world ever free.
It's literally like a 20-point Peller. Here, we'll just go ahead and take this now. Yeah. I'm kind of surprised. A couple misreads maybe on that one, but... Chop that down. We're one short. I would have just chewed right through it if I didn't use the Peller. But at this point, it's looking pretty good.
Your name, young man, should be cursed into an urchin.
Everyone has their secrets. Everyone.
We'll just go right for the Vigo at this point.
The realm of the living severs your chain. Abandon now your mortal stain.
I don't really want to use Leader just in case they somehow get out of the round, right? I believe they spent their tall punish with the Yennefer's Invocation, so it's just a couple point slams from here. 43 points, Sigvald did his job. Would have been bigger if they didn't have that Peller worth like 20 points to Purify.
Do I enjoy torture? Perhaps.
The contracts come running through for the Alzur journey. For whatever reason, it was bugged. We got Skellige, Blaze of Glory coming up here next, and you have to expect like a Devotion full-fledged Warriors deck, right? Nice. This is kind of what I like for round one. We want to just have access to as much thinning as possible, right? We got Artis in this case, we got Oniro, so we're going to be pulling into what we need to actually get things started. Warriors generally have a pretty slow start, so we have to sort of take advantage of that as best we can.
No retreat, not one step.
They decide to just go for it. This shocked me too, guys. I guess they thought maybe if they can get through that defender, then they can sort of get through the Melusine a little bit easier and start denying some carryover. But, you know, at this point, we put down a defender and they're already at 30 points. Like, I don't think we're supposed to play into the round. I think we're supposed to just play bronze cards and defend whatever they do. They're probably going to go into a long round 3, but not trying to waste good cards, you know?
Accept our sacrifice.
Priest comes down, keep it simple, right? They could have had a decent tempo pass here, but you kind of just hope that they play into 6. And surely they do. I think that this was overkill. It's such a good card when used correctly, but I guess they just figured Just get it out there, secure the rounds. 35-4, I think we've seen enough. It's nice to sometimes see if you have reach at least, but if you're forcing it, like if you're having to play 3 gold cards that are huge combo plays just to pull the points, it's not worth it. Because then you go into a long round 3 with nothing, right? Maxi could be the pass card. I don't really need Peller here because we didn't do anything, right? So we don't have to worry about bleeding into a round with Melusine or whatever the case. I'm just looking at what they spend here and it's decent. I don't believe that they're trying to really bleed, you know what I mean? I think that they're just looking to play a couple cards and see what they get from me here. Usually warriors don't like bleeding because the cards have veteran and you're going into round 3, their cards appreciate, right? Probably, if I'm taking a maxi, it's now, I'm sure. And our top deck's horrible, so in this event, what are we putting to the bottom? Probably one of these boost cards. And we'll get the reshuffle. It's one of the biggest issues with self-wound archetype, and what bothers me the most is that they don't feel consistent. And I tried discard package with it. It's not really the best way. I've tried the Roach Knickers approach, but then you're missing out on a lot of really important gold cards because I find like they all count in this deck, right? They're all really good for something. So that's kind of it, but the one that I find works the best is, this is more fun, but obviously having Oniromancy and Royal Decree is like the best combination for this deck in my opinion, and usually I don't like a soft and a hard tutor, like I don't like doing like a Decree and an Oniro, but it just feels needed in something like this. So they played Fukusha just to get the extra carryover with the Warlord. I guess they're thinking that we're just going super tall and they can just like chuck everything down. So it makes sense. I really don't want to play anything crazy here like a Marjoram. We want to keep all that stuff available for Sigvald in round 3. That's going to be our win condition here. So we'll go and play the second Berserker. Then I can go put the one in hand back in deck for Artis later. We have Ermion, we have the other Marjoram. I don't think we need to restore as much. Like, it's hard to say because I think that what they're going to target, they're just going to kill. So 2 Marjorams here. We got Bride of the Sea in the deck that's going to make a 3rd Marjoram. We're doing pretty well. We could pull that with the Vigo. I keep saying is it Vigo? No, it's not Vigo. It's Ermion. I always forget about Ermion. Yeah, Ermion's in either version of the deck, right? Ermion's just like really good. Why wouldn't you have Ermion in something like this? So many key alchemy cards too. It's like Drift is right. The Marjorams. So what I'm hoping at this point is usually the Warriors like to come into the round with Herald first if they're going second. And so I'm expecting, just like what we have here, Herald come down and the pings start to accumulate on the Sig. So it's kind of the idea, right? I want to see if I can get some Melusine value, right? Because if we have that for the ending, we can resurrect her. It's just going to be very difficult to pull off a Callus. And I was trying to see what the counters at. Damage at 10 if you have Bloodthirst too. They really just ran it up. I guess that would be the fourth one they played in this case. Maybe we can get some value from the Artis here. It's hard to say. I just feel like everything that we play here that's an engine besides Sigvald is just going to get bombed out in one turn from whatever removal they've, you know, stacked up for round 3, the big raid round, right? Like, look at this here. These games are, like, very disheartening. I love playing warriors. I just don't like when people play warriors against me, and I can't keep anything on the board. And it's tough because it feels like a lost cause with exception to like this just one card hanging in, you know? Literally the one card. So, they say don't put your eggs in one basket, but we kind of have no choice.
Women, children, elders.
Problem with these veterans here too is that they're 5 power, and now even a primal savagery could take them away. But we don't know what they drew, so we kind of have to, you know. Like, look. Pretty nutty. Yeah. Makes you wonder if we should try and get some rain value off of Kusha, or if we should just save it for something else. I mean, Melusine's decent points, I think, at this point. If I had to bring her back.
Blood for foul blood!
43 to 19. Maybe. It's a maybe for me that they so they can deal with it. Okay. So I think the biggest thing here is probably Fukusha for the Callus. I took Fukusha in the back row. I know it kind of sucks that there's the Protector there and all, but like, what else do you do? Like, I didn't want to start hitting armor. Maybe I should have taken the front. Yeah, maybe the front row would have been better, but whatever. Actually, it doesn't even matter because they're not even going super tall, so it's actually better for me. I'm getting more value out of this removal. Sure, right? Whatever. It's done. All of a sudden, we're back in the game, guys. This is why I play Gwent, man. Moments like this, like they feel pretty good. We actually have a chance. And we're going for the finish. 52 point Sigvald, 72 to 26. What a turn, 24. Right? And they can't hit it. So you guys are wondering what this interaction looks like. It stops here. Unbelievable how we won that game. So moving on to another Skellige here, we have Patricidal Fury. Kind of a similar hand, right? You know what you do. You try to get rid of the Mardromes and stuff like that early. That's more of a late game strat for me. Early game, I want the Melusine and everything that encompasses that. So like the priests, the Drakkar, the Defender, like all that stuff is just really good to have. Pallor's nice here, so if I decide that I win round 1, things are looking pretty good. We can go bleed into round 2 and have Pallor left, so we can purify Melusine. Ever since that nerf to Melusine, getting the Doomed on renewal, it's rough, you know. I'm not gonna click. I want to keep Melusine tall enough because I know that Skellige has the means to remove it. kind of play into a greatsword, don't we? That's going to get healed. Like, it's just a matter of time. So, might as well create this sandwich here and just go with it. Normally I'd start clicking rain, but 1 unit per line, and I just don't think it's worth it. This would be nice if we were able to play more into like Restore. If I had Restore in hand, I'd start clicking Melusine and just go for that whole line, but it's just not here. So Madoc, Patricidal Fury. Yeah, again, just gotta not click. You know, that's actually something that I missed. It's probably the nicest red haze that they've made all day. Whoops. Like, that really threw me off here. And the fact that they purified Melusine here, and the fact that, you know, they could have a second haze, but usually not, it kind of hurts. I got greedy. I'm thinking, I'm just going to go ahead and play this here. I need to purify Melusine. It's worth a lot of points, so like it's worth like 20 points at this point, right? So we have to find a way to bring her back. Mind you, the opponent could very well have a squirrel. A lot of these Madoc decks, heavy control decks, will have a squirrel. So it's tough. We'll know based on what we pull pretty quickly if we should play. Gross. If I'm being honest here, I didn't take their deck very seriously. It's one of those situations where I could literally be paying for this in a minute here. Restore is not even that good in our hand right now. Sigvald says, why thank you? Right? And it kind of sucks like that because we're not really getting the point, but it's whatever. So it comes down to one key thing here. Does Nut Callus stick or nah, right? So we're going to put down Callus shortly. And then just see if we could fire up a few Mardromes. And that's just what it has to be.
What? This? Scratch. Let's take the measure.
Just one instead of two. We have to get the Berserk Order Renewal type thing. And we gotta start doing more damage because this is like bad, you know? Okay, finally, like a really good target. The boat, I'm not even that worried about. Just because I'm not playing units like that, you know? But a Lula, if left unchecked, is pretty nasty. And trust me, I'm nervous. 24-8 is nothing in modern Gwent. They still have their leader. Yeah. I'm just watching it happen before me. It's gotta hurt, man. And there's just nothing we can do about it. I was hoping, you know, at the same time, though, if they're willing to slow down and play a squirrel like that, I guess they're pretty confident with their ability to win, but maybe at the same time we take advantage of it because it was such a slow play, and that's just what we have to do here because there's no looking back, right? Everything's being spent. Sucks that we can't do anything about the Sove. Would have been such a nice target here. Let's beat up the squirrel because took my Melusine out of the picture. And the 37 and counting bleeding on this one here. How much you want to bet after this game they went and put a Peller in their deck? Fukusha coming down. There's a possibility we get the extra point from that even too. Nope. I guess it just adds to my restore value though. Look at that 50 plus bleeding. I mean, at this point, we play for the restore. So we'll hit Callus, and then we'll kill off the Bride of the Sea. And it also reduces Bloodthirst for Sove. We got 75 points Sigvald on the board, guys. And that defender was actually holding on. Like, couldn't have done it without the defender there, honestly. Now they got 3 turns to make it. You guys, I normally don't like playing this way, but I was feeling like all or nothing, you know? And we got it. Another Skellige matchup. We have Reckless Flurry coming up here next. But now you sort of get the idea. We're going second, so I don't mind holding a Maxi here. It's definitely something on the top we're putting back. Peller could be a later thing. Sometimes you can greed if you have the Oniro in hand, right?
Hey, listen here. Listen well.
Do we go for thinning? Yeah, sure. You know, Skellige plays a lot of tall base power units, so if they start going down with Sove and all these things, it can make a big difference. Also, it might involve them using leader charges for things they didn't really want to use to take care of it. Like, I don't expect them to stay for a long time, but I didn't expect the Giga. I think Giga's a little power crept because we have Gutting Slash right now that does something similar. That was actually a pretty good Gutting Slash. They got a Seagull value off it as well. Honestly, nothing's preventing me from playing this, but now it kind of gives them a situation where they could pass. They have some carryover from the Sunset Wanderers, and then it doesn't put us ahead if they pass. So yeah, that's kind of what you have to expect at this point, and then we just have to get the best return off this. Obviously, Melusine comes down a little bit late. Not what you love to see, but I wouldn't say we committed a whole lot here, right? Restore can always be tutored later. I don't like keeping Restore in hand if I don't have direct playmakers in hand that could benefit from Restore. So, you know, Melusine would be nice, but in heavy control matchups, Restore feels kind of greedy. So it will take it off Ermion, or if we find a situation where it works. Still contemplating here what we do as far as, am I pushing, or we're just going to pass and go into the long round. And it seems to be working today, right? Just go for the push. Heatwave check. Junned could be horrible in this matchup, though. A lot of the Reckless Flurry decks going around right now, if you don't have Junned, I would expect, you know, like I would expect that you should have Junned, right? It's just such a good card with this leader ability, but some people don't have it. You gotta respect the process here. Again, thinking about clicking, but we don't really get value from clicking if we're playing into their half-brew, and also playing into their Junned if they can get around the defender, right? So we got to be careful when and if we start giving rain.
Oh, how wonderful! You speak our tongue.
Mayhap you'll gawk at Arachania's marvels too one day.
Next turn, we get the heal for the veteran, which is just really good. We got to start caring for the defender a little bit more, right? The armor's off, so concerning. Yeah, there's the Junned coming down. You see, that would have been on the Melusine otherwise. At least we know that it's safe here. So this provokes me to want to play a little bit. Because we get the flip and the heal, and then the sunset comes down, so that carryover's gone. Yeah, at this point, just play cards and hope for the best. I know that it's probably our best idea to try and take away Bloodthirst, right? As best we can here, so giving that just a little bit of a boost is nice. The Erendite, just the perfect shot there, right? So we're developing sword value the longer that we play into the round. Got to be careful with that. Here, we'll take the Marjoram here on her so she sticks around, and then we can get Rain as much as possible. I'm thinking that we just continue to trade here. We're probably going to see some good commitments. They have spent most of the leader. Even if we're down a little bit going into another round, we still have, obviously, a Sove to deal with, and, you know, our Melicine's looking pretty good, so. I'm starting to think about Restore, though. Like, we know our base power is really tall. We know we have a few leader charges left. Looking at it, 23 there, we have another click. That might just be it. Igni check. If you have it, now's the time to use it, right? Imagine if they were all 12s. Okay. Yeah, just furthermore reassuring my greedy decisions here, right? Go back row to split it up a little bit more. And what do we got? 3 more hits? We'll get the extra 2 points to go Ermion into Restore. Again, you guys, all or nothing. Like, you have to be able to play this way to make this deck work. It's a nerve-wracking type of playstyle, but come on. 47 points on the Melusine, right? If it's not Sigvald, it's Melusine. Now, can they do it in 2, right? The whole time it looked like it wasn't gonna work out for us, but now the fact they spent the Erendite, how would they even remove anything if they play the Sove, right? Junid's out of the way as well. That's it. What a big one. Moving on to the last game of the day, we have White, Frost, Wild Hunt, Monsters. And this one, it's kind of sweet because we like getting damaged. We have a few cards that will eat up that damage, but the problem here is that they got all that movement, and we like to sandwich things in a row. And they also have cards like Imlerith's Wrath that are just really good now. Being able to remove any unit on a row with Frost is going to really hurt for the Melusine. So, again, that's the problem. Also, with the Artis, it's row locked, so it can get tricky there, getting some value from that. That's why I just decided I'm not going to go for that first.
So, as I was saying about the silk vendor...
The amount of value they're getting from stacking 2 of these is wild, man. So much carryover for Tyrnalia. By the way, I switched my avatar for the video. I just noticed now for a challenge. I'm not switching up the brand, my in-game stuff. Just I had to get that one out of the way. For whatever reason, though, even after I played the game, it wasn't working for a couple of these.
Fill our hearts with wrath.
I'm dreading the possibility of a Toad Prince here. And if they have it, it's going to be the most painful thing that we could deal with ever. Sure enough.
They're fully trained for discretion, if you know what I mean.
Good. Do we ever just live life on the edge here? Let's do the best we can with what we have here. It's scary, I can tell you that much.
Another little thunderbolt. Charming.
That's a pretty good top deck, right? Sigvald and Vildkarl in the next round, guaranteed. Yeah. Look at this 3-point Melu, scary. It's a good thing that Frost targets the tallest, and I don't want to let Melusine get too tall, because if they do go for the Wrath, then it's just like, it's trading down, right? You know, that's like a really good restore, though. I wish I could click. This greed is just something else, man. It's too good to be true. Right there was when we should have taken that, of course, for the restore, but you know me, right? Turn beginning that should just die, right?
Special offer. Buy now and receive an extra win.
My ice pierce both your hearts and minds.
37 to 15, they played a lot. The problem is, I could play into this. I just don't have anything to purify Melusine. Like, the Powler's not around. It's a tough one. Because I could tell they're pretty thirsty to win the round. Really doing what's best, though, that would have been a pass for them. If you think about it, look at all the points. 6 points off the pass, plus the vitality, plus the hound going off. There's so many different things, right? Imagine taking Fukusha into Melusine and still losing the round. Like, we'd have to play more, and it could get pretty bad pretty quick. Just easier to defend card. We know the top deck's going to be good. The Sigvald and the Vildkarl. And there's a lot of good stuff not far behind, right? Again, not missing a whole lot here. Ermion in hand can play for the Sigdrifas. I don't care too much about Artis in this match just because of the movement aspect, Frost. On the bright side, I don't believe that Frost will have any sort of graveyard punish unless they're running Osrol, and most opponents aren't running Osrol right now. So that's like a real big plus for us. And they just decide that they don't respect the self wound here, I guess. Oberyn coming down just for that.
Not a step further.
Glory to Svalbard!
I think we just champ out a Sigvald, because if we do get a pass here, them thinking, oh no, we can't do that, you know? Then we can still do Melusine round 3, we could still bring this back round 3, or both, right? Wrath. It's gotta be Wrath. Okay. Maybe they're going for carryover on the Frost? I don't know.
Accept our sacrifice!
Sure. I guess they got the pass they're looking for, but at the expense of the Oberyn. I don't know if I like that. And a leader charge. Whereas I could just... It's probably Vildkarl. We're taking damage here off the bleeding and the frost. That's an overspend. I just needed the 1 leader charge, or the 2 leader charges, not the 3. But it is what it is. Sometimes it works out to your advantage, but I think in this case, we should just be fine. You could tell I play a little bit fast too. Like, I don't sit here and just crunch numbers like with mid 2400 games, you know? Maybe I should just buckle down a little bit more. Every leader charge could make a difference. But on the bright side, we got our whole hand that we need. And I think we just come straight down with the Melusine and just hope for the best, honestly. And then if they destroy that, we put that behind us. And then we can look at just taking the Sigvald play. In fact, you almost hope that they kill off the Melusine with the Wrath so that the Sigvald can stick, because I think that's going to be like one of the big playmakers here, right? Especially when they get, yeah, the Eridan down.
Show me what flows in your veins.
Dominance. You see, I'm making up for the last leader charge wasted, right? We don't want to sit it at 4 power because then Toad eats that Callus every single day. But the 5's nice. 5's just enough for the reset. We have to pick which one to save. This is like really tough, man. It's 50-50 on the front row. Back row, it's Melusine's going to get killed, right? This is probably the savior, though. Think about it. Because then Bear in front takes Frost. Still. Kill that off. And then whatever they play now, unless they have movement, is going to get impacted by the Artis. Unless they have Toad. But honestly, if they have Toad, Artis still did his job. Like, saving... Okay, I mean, there's that, right? Sure. It's like a 20-point Melusine. On the Restore, I really... I should have considered taking it there, but you know how it works. Like, Wrath is a thing, too. Then there's the costly misplay, right? Unfortunately, Sigvald is not being played a lot right now, so if you're new to the game, you might not really get the interaction as much. That was just a critical mistake. Like, when I saw the Parasite come down here, yeah, I'm thinking it's over. I'll see you guys tomorrow.